Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Translate
this
This with your hosts, Melissa and
Lauren.
Well, she got to think about it for a minute there, huh?
Yeah. Who's my name? What's my name? Who's my name?
And
That's a
who's
better
my
question.
name? Yeah. Well, see, this is why this is a podcast about life, language, culture, and the hilarious. That's a new word. The hilarious. I'm going to take that again.
We're gonna be tripping over our words today.
Life, language, culture, and the hilarity of it all. Welcome, listeners, once again to season 2 of Translate This. And we are really, really excited for today's show because we have some people. Well, I invited some people, Lauren, that you actually know. And I think you're going to be very excited who our guests are this episode. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna spill the beans here, okay? I'm gonna spill the beans, not the tea, but the beans. And
hopefully there's some tea in the beans.
I think there'll be tea in the beans. I think these people will have a lot of tea and we'll be making some in the beans and we'll be making some salsa to go with it on the side. I think it's gonna be really, really good. Okay, so here we go. I'm excited to introduce not only my friends, but really amazing people. And I'm just really lucky to know them. I think they have given me a perspective of living in Spain completely different of other people. And I'm excited to see where their journey continues. Shawn Forno and Lainey Silver,
Yay.
welcome to Translate This. Woohoo!
Like cheering.
Yes. So I'm going to give the listeners a little background about who you are and why I'm so excited. So these two Californians currently live in Galicia, Spain, and actually they live in the same province of Galicia that I live in, which is Ourense. And together they have created a YouTube channel called Days We Spend. I highly recommend it. It's emotive. It's funny. It's a really great podcast, or it's not a podcast, but it's a kind of podcast. It's a YouTube channel. I don't have a YouTube channel, so this is why I don't know these things. But the YouTube channel is amazing because it gives you amazing information, not just about Galicia and what they do here, but many topics, which we will cover today in our podcast. And they started the channel in 2019 when they embarked on a round the world trip, an RTW. And now they use this channel to share some of their favorite ways that they spend their days. Individually, they have each their own amazing resume and background. Together, Shawn and Lainey love to hike the Camino de Santiago, which is what we'll be talking a little bit about today, which is kind of not exactly outside my door, but near my door. And they help other pilgrims prepare, because they're called pilgrims when they walk the Camino, and we'll get into that too, because we haven't really talked about any of that really on this channel. And so we're going to go ahead and let them discuss that, how they prepare other people on how to pack, and their vlogs are essential for anyone wanting to do this Camino. And we're also going to discuss how many ways you can do the Camino. They also have shared detailed information on how they moved to Spain on the non-lucrative visa, which is a very popular visa right now for people looking to immigrate to Spain or to have an opportunity to live here for a while. And they also share their favorite aspects about Spanish life, which I love that part too, because they have, again, different perspectives, different type of lifestyle in where they're living than where I'm living. But individually here, Shawn, we're going to start with him. He's been a travel writer for 15 plus years. And that in itself is pretty great because not a lot of people can do that anymore. They really cannot. So for him to be able to do that for more than 15 years and survive the travel alone and the deadlines in the remote locations, that's amazing accomplishment right there. And he's worked for clients including Lonely Planet, Tortuga Backpacks, Matt Davila, and the Huffington Post. Lainey, she's no bag of beans. She has done some amazing things too. Gotta bring the beans back.
She's my bag of beans. You got it. How did you know that's what I call her?
I know.
I wake up and I say, "How you doing, my little bag of beans?"
See, I knew this was gonna be fun. I'm gonna be laughing the whole episode. Lainey is an international swing dance teacher, a choreographer, performer, specializing in Lindy Hop and Balboa, which, by the way, she taught me about that. I knew Lindy Hop, had no idea about Balboa. Now I'm learning about this. And her client roster includes Disney, Carnegie Hall, and the Lincoln Center. Not too shabby.
Especially for a bag of beans. That's impressive.
Exactly. So where do we start here? Okay, I'm going to start this whole episode with something that is not on this resume. Um, what the heck? Round the world trip, COVID. In my mind, when I saw 2019, immediately I'm like, what did they do? So I looked up your Days We Spend YouTube channel. I'm like, they really did travel during COVID. And I like, how did they not get stuck somewhere in a country and in lockdown? And so I really want first for other people who are thinking this and who have already looked at your YouTube channel while they're listening to this, understand what possibly first made you want to do that and then continue during COVID? That's my first couple questions.
Well, we actually started our trip in June 2019 and we ended it right as COVID was starting. So,
Okay.
yeah, so most of lockdown and COVID is when we just edited all of our videos and posted them. If you like scroll through the description, there's a little disclaimer like when it was filmed and like there was a note that
Yeah.
said please don't travel now. And we were trying to be
Yeah.
really careful about that. But we felt really lucky that we actually got to go to so many places before everything shut down so much. Shawn and I both lived in New York City for over a decade, and we had decided to just pack up
Wow.
and leave and sell all of our stuff. And so that's when we embarked on this RTW trip, was leaving New York. So we
Wow.
didn't have any home after that. We had nowhere to go because we had left our apartment. The few things we had
Wow.
were the storage. But it was a really amazing trip.
Yeah, it was great. We feel really lucky. We feel like we like Indiana Jonesed it like through the door as it was closing, and we didn't even realize it. Because I've traveled before for long stretches of time, and we've done trips together, but this was a really big one. So we traveled for, I want to say, almost like 10
It was
months.
10 months, yeah, and we did it each with
Wow.
Wow.
with
Yeah.
one backpack each.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
amazing.
So we did that. So we got to see all these places, and
we kind of set the trip up as a way for me to teach them dancing in different places. So some of our itinerary was based on where I was getting work, and some of it was just based on where we wanted to go and do and like different adventures. We
Yeah.
did get trapped kind of at the end there.
Yeah, so we were traveling for a while and visiting friends and doing a bit of dancing and doing this and that. And we were in Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka and a few places near the end of 2019. And we started hearing some stories about a thing that was happening. And we're like, I don't know, we'll see. And then the stories got louder, and then it got a name. And then we were like, well, what do we do? Lainey had a gig booked in Australia for February.
It was beginning of March. It was my birthday. It was
Oh.
March.
Wow.
The first weekend of March.
So we knew we were still gonna try to keep going, and then it was still, again, like when you rewind the clock, like there were some cases, but no one really knew what was happening. So we went down to Australia. She taught, and then we went to Tasmania. And that week that we were there, it popped off, and everything closed. All the flights started getting canceled. We had a trip to New Zealand planned to end the trip, and then New Zealand closed their borders. And that's when we were like, oh, crap. Okay, so how do we get out of here? Our flights out of Australia got canceled 6 times. So we were just like actively problem solving. We made a whole series about it. But yeah, we eventually figured it out and got home. But yeah, and then we were just in California for a long time.
So then that
that's
means, go ahead, Lauren.
No, I was gonna say I had a very tiny similar story. Luis and I were traveling to Madrid February 2020, and this was the same thing. You start hearing about it, and when we were there, a lot of stuff started closing, and we were only there for just like a week, so we knew that we were gonna get back. we got back and like 4 or 5 days later, that's when they started shutting everything down. We're like, "Oh my gosh, we just got out of there in the nick of time." And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a weird time because you didn't really know if it was gonna affect no one knew it was gonna affect the entire world, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
So, most of the time in those type of situations, you think it's an isolated area or but yeah, it obviously everyone knows how COVID went, so yeah,
No,
it's
Yeah.
I
interesting.
was just gonna say that we ended up in California then at the same time. Now, were you? Because I know you're both from California, but you're from
Hmm.
different parts. One's from Southern California, the other one's from Northern California. So, where did you land? Where did you stay during the pandemic in California? With your
My
parents or?
my family in the
Okay.
middle of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the best place to be. Middle of nowhere. It's nothing can get you.
No,
Oh
Yeah.
my
it was
gosh.
a great place to stay. We
Yeah.
got to hole up with her family's great. It was a really they had the space for us.
Great.
They had the ability to host us because,
Yeah.
like we said, we sold we didn't have an
Yeah.
apartment, we didn't have a car, we didn't have a place to go back to.
We had like 7 boxes in a storage unit in New York that we were like, well, we'll get to them later.
Yeah.
But when we landed in California, we had well, the story is my parents have a winery in California, and there's a guest
Mhm.
house on the winery, and so obviously they had canceled everyone staying there, and it was closed. So they were like, well, you could quarantine at our guest house because that's what you had to do back then. No one knew what was
Yeah.
going
Right.
on.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we said, okay, we'll spend 2 weeks quarantining in the guest house. Like somehow we have to get there. So we landed in San Francisco, and some friends of my parents had driven a second car up to the airport and like left it
Wow.
there for us to drive ourselves back in quarantine. So we had no contact with anyone for
Yeah.
until like those 2 weeks were up. So it was very strange to
Mhm.
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, they were great. We weren't married at the time, so I was just the boyfriend crashing with her folks. It was always a fun
Just the boyfriend.
relationship. Well, we've been dating for years, but
Right.
it's different now that we're married. But like, yeah, so we were there we thought we were going to be there for a few weeks. A few weeks turned into a few months, and a few months turned into a couple years.
that.
And that's just how it went because not only was the pandemic happening, but we didn't have
Jobs.
jobs, we didn't have car, we didn't. It's not like we could
Yeah.
go apartment
Yeah.
hunting. We didn't have anything
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah, all
so
of
we
Shawn's travel, like writing,
all
evaporated. All of
evaporated.
my dance gigs I had planned evaporated.
Right. Right.
And like, doing a couple things online, it still wasn't enough to it wasn't enough income to get us out of the house. And we just spent through like a chunk of our savings on this trip that
Mhm.
we took.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
Yeah.
took the opportunity to just be in California at my family's, and I started working at their winery.
Mm.
We still were
Mhm.
trying to do some of our own projects on the side, which is where we started to edit all of our videos and try to say like, oh well, maybe our channel will be something. I don't know. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have faith in it. We can do it. And Shawn's like, these are old. Why are you editing them? And I'm like, but
No,
I'm
it was
having
great. But
fun.
we made like a whopping, $9 8 months later after we got monetized. It wasn't a job at that point. It was just a nice hobby.
Yeah.
Right.
But living with my family is kind of what helped set us up to move here to Spain, actually.
Yeah. So there goes okay,
Yeah.
perfect segue there because when you were in quarantine with your family in particular, some people that I know quarantined with family and then didn't ever want to see them again because then they were like, I've got to get away from these bitches. They're just no more. But I do think that since you were already traveling, you both obviously love to travel. You love exploration and the adventure, all of it. It was probably inevitable you would be traveling once again, regardless of the pandemic, regardless of how much downtime you had to have, especially with both what you do. I mean, you're teaching. And first of all, I want to go back to that. That is amazing that you were finding places around the world to teach dance.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, Shawn, no disrespect, but writing can be done anywhere in the world, and especially travel writing. That was right up your alley. But to find places to dance and find people who will pay you, you're not just like on the street going, "Hey, I'm a dancer." I'm like, I've got these gigs lined up. I think that in itself is incredible. And you can tell me about that all you want. Because I think that's great. But I do think that you probably were going to always go back out on the road or travel again. I have so many, Lauren. I have so many things to talk about with these
Yeah, I can
people.
tell.
They have this vehicle on their YouTube channel, this Honda Element that they made into a camper van.
Oh,
I mean, yeah,
nice.
see, so I don't know what let's get Lainey to answer
Yeah.
first of all, how did she get the classes? And then let's just go right to the Honda Element after that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. And for teaching dancing, there's actually a really large community of swing dancers. And once you kind of tap into that community, it's it's not difficult to network if you just kind of put yourself out there. And that's scary. It's always really scary to kind of contact someone and say, "Hey, like I don't know you, but we have these friends in common. I was recommended to talk to you." And I've had a number of friends who've traveled in some of the Southeast Asia area. I had a friend in Spain who helped me set up some gigs here as part of that trip. And some of it is I just kind of posted a lot on social media. I used a lot of Facebook groups and networking, and just kind of I made myself a little web page that was like, I'm on a round the world trip, like my world tour. It's part of my website. And it
That's
was
great.
it was good. It wasn't like everything in our trip, but it definitely took a big chunk of like, oh, okay, well, next month we have to be in Vietnam. And then like 3 months later, we're going back to Vietnam for another gig. And that's actually
Yeah.
one of my favorite things I did is me and Twee, who was one of the local organizers in Saigon, she had the two of us speak at the American consulate in Ho Chi Minh City on
Nice.
yeah, it was like a conversation and lecture on women's roles in the history of swing dancing.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Do you
that
have
was definitely a highlight.
It was pretty sweet. I got to ride the coattails. Like you said, I could write wherever, whenever, about whatever. So
Yeah.
I was like, go nuts. Like, oh, we're going where? Sweet. So
Yeah.
we booked it. Like a lot of people when they do an RTW or an around the world tour, depending on what they do, sometimes there's flight packages, so you have to move in a specific
Mm.
direction. So there's companies that sell it for like whatever, $1,500.
I didn't know that the round the world trips actually were sold in a package.
Me
I thought, and
either.
this could be just be me being like, so old now that
No,
when we had
no.
to do it, you had to buy open jaw tickets and then connect and connect, connect. But they actually now sell packages where you want to do an RTW trip.
Yeah, we didn't do that to be super clear, but
Okay.
for travel as a travel writer, that's something
Yeah.
that comes up all the time. So there
Mm.
are companies that do that, there are people that do that, and it can be more economical. But the point is that a large portion of people who do an RTW plan it ahead of time. We're going to Europe, and then this part of Africa, and then Asia, and then Australia. We didn't do that really. Lainey just kind of had one or two gigs ahead of time and then just sort of flung ourselves out there and did a
Mhm.
really good job networking. And then
Wow.
it snowballs. Like when you go to a dance event, you meet someone else who's like, oh, great, like come to this dance event. And
Sure.
Lainey's she's a big old bag of beans and she
Yep.
likes to chat with people. So it was really
And she
hard for her
leaves
to make friends.
beans. She leaves beans everywhere she goes. Little
Yeah.
trail of beans all over the
We just
world.
Jack and the Beanstalked our way around the world with her
Yeah.
magic beans. So it was really fun to watch her do that. And I think one of the things that was good about being on the trip is that you lowered the barrier of entry. So like places didn't have to fly you out. You were like, hey, I'm gonna be here.
Oh.
So she was extra desirable. She's a great teacher and a big draw.
Mhm.
But it's nice when she's like, I'm swinging through. Who wants to?
Yeah, like I would say, oh, well, we know we're spending a week in Kuala Lumpur. Like, I'll come attend their local dance and teach a couple private lessons or a little workshop or something. And Shawn's family at the time was living in Singapore. And so we had
Yeah.
someone to stay in Singapore, and we used it kind of as a base to kind of ping pong around. So we would come back and keep visiting the family. But I taught a lot on a lot of different workshop classes in Singapore because I was there and I was available. And it's definitely something that I would not have necessarily had some of those opportunities if we weren't already traveling. But that's why we did this trip. I
Yeah.
set it up so that we would get to say, okay, well, where do we want to go?
Yeah.
And then from there, I'd say, who can I contact from some of these places? And then,
Yeah.
like Shawn said, yeah, it does snowball a little
It
bit.
was super fun too, because the whole trip, even when she wasn't dancing every week. We were doing other stuff. So we'd be like, hey, there's a gap. What do you want to do? Let's go to Sri Lanka. Like it was,
Yeah.
you look on Google Flights if you guys ever do the map view, and you're like, hey,
Mhm.
it's 9 cents to fly over here.
No.
Yeah, right.
We're in budget airlines that like make you weigh your luggage,
Yep.
not fun. So we'd always
Yeah.
make sure to like get
Yeah.
Air Asia flights that would let you get your boarding pass ahead of time. It was way less stressful than the
Mm.
cheapest flights. I was like,
Oh,
Shawn, we're in our
completely.
30s when we're doing this. We're too old for that.
Well, I'll tell you, anybody doing it, doesn't matter how old you are, it can be stressful. So
Mm.
I always think of that show, The Amazing Race, that was on decades ago. And that to me was really inspiring also for travel. Michael and I said, if the kids weren't little and we had somebody to leave them with, that we would have done that. And I have that feeling like the two of you could have won that game show, doing the
Mhm.
round the world thing. I could totally see Shawn
Now I
and
wanna go
Lainey.
watch episodes of that.
Oh,
That was such a good show.
it was so great, and it was great when they would have meltdowns, and that's really bad of me to say that, but that was my favorite part, was when people would just melt down traveling, like, "I can't do this anymore, I'm
Yeah.
at the airport, nobody loves me, I wanna go home." But Michael and I decided that he would have done all of the really crazy, physical, scary challenges, and I would have eaten all the weird things. So, when they make you eat spiders and cockroaches and all that I'm like, "I don't care. I'm gonna eat it. Just gonna give me a shot of tequila afterwards and I'm good." But I'm like, "I'm not scaling that, whatever the hell that is." And so he can go do that and jump off and fly off of airplane, whatever, the wings, stand on the wings of an airplane, fly around, and I'm good with that. They make you do some really
Yeah.
crazy stuff. I don't even know how they got insured for that show because it's so
You
crazy.
know, I was gonna say, I think there was, and I think this was The Amazing Race. I'm gonna have to look it up afterwards, but there's a very popular clip that has gone around with a woman that was in a competition. I think it was The Amazing Race, and she had to like slingshot a watermelon, and she slingshotted the watermelon. So she like used her entire body weight and like rolled back, and it just science just really fucked her over, and it came right back in her face. And she was like, she wasn't okay for a little bit. I mean, it's funny now knowing she's okay, but I think that was The Amazing Race, and so that's what I'm saying. They had some
Oh,
weird competitions. When you mentioned that,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So
kind of hung up on science fucked her over. It's just like a really good t-shirt.
yeah.
If you guys have merch for the podcast,
Oh my God,
it's
yes.
a woman pulling on like a stick figure pulling on something that's not going to work. And just
Yeah.
Right.
science fuck me.
Exactly.
Science
Yeah.
fucked me
Or
over.
blinded you with science, and then you just
Yeah.
get
That's
hit
it.
with a watermelon.
You know?
Oh my God.
It's
Yes,
a
the
Yeah.
summer shirt for
blindfolded.
sure because of the
Yeah,
watermelon.
no, that'd be fun. We'd love to
Yeah.
do stuff like that. I mean, we had meltdowns on the trip. It's 10 months of planning last minute
Yeah.
and making stuff work. We did crazy stuff. We drove a tuk-tuk around Sri Lanka. Lainey doesn't know how to drive a manual car in America, and she
Ah.
drove a manual transmission.
A little. Shawn does
She
most
did
of the
Yeah.
great
driving.
though. But there was stuff like that where I'm like, all right, so here's how you get into second gear. Don't hit the cow. Here's how you go.
Yeah. Right.
So we had some adventures and some meltdowns and some fun stuff. And yeah, we had our own little amazing race, but it was real slow.
It was more like The Amazing
Yeah.
Race was getting home.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Amazing Race was
exactly,
awesome. Getting
exactly.
out of Tasmania was the whole thing.
Well, I
Yeah.
do think though that it says something to do that when you were not married and then come back and decide, well, you know what? We didn't kill each other. We must obviously like each other enough to stick around. So let's get married. So I think that's great. Now, hopefully, that was done in California with your family, so that they didn't feel like they missed out on that part, or
Yeah, it was
was it not?
2021. My parents the whole time on the trip were just like, "Please don't elope. We'll kill you."
See, that's what I'm thinking. I was wondering. I'm waiting if there's a story behind this too. No, no, you guys did it with family. Okay,
Yeah, so for our wedding, we just did a really small, there's 12 people at the courthouse in Santa Barbara. And it was just our
perfect.
immediate family and a few of our best friends. And it was just nice and small and really lovely. It was November in 2021. I wore a
Lovely.
purple vintage dress.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah,
Nice. I
it
love
was
that.
awesome. Yeah, we did it. We did it. It was still COVID, so the courthouse, even though we had an outdoor thing, they still even limited the outdoor stuff. So it was a
Mm.
hard baker's dozen.
Yeah, and then we did an outdoor dinner like at a
Yeah.
restaurant.
But
Oh,
we
perfect.
loved our wedding. Lainey always wanted to get married at a courthouse, so it worked out beautifully, and we didn't
Yeah.
have to have a big, massive wedding, which
Yeah.
was super fun. It just wasn't what we wanted to do, so it worked out really well.
Well, and I'm
Oh
glad to
yeah.
hear that because some people, I think during that time, they were really wanting to continue with nuptials and, ceremonies, but some people have always dreamed of having 500 people at a wedding at a big
Mhm.
chateau and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I have shared this with the listeners yet because I've shared pretty much everything about me. I'm like inside out on
Yeah,
this
I
show,
don't think you
but
have.
I haven't. So, my first marriage was Britney Spears length, a month and 19 days. And I got married. I was engaged. Then, about a month after that, I found out I was pregnant. So then I was not going to get out of the marriage. I eventually did anyway while I was pregnant. And I had 350 people at the wedding. It was a giant, massive, chaotic thing, and I had to go through the whole thing sober with questions. And so
Yeah.
when you question things and at your wedding, you don't normally think you're gonna be slightly sober, or
That
at
was your
least have some.
favorite day from what I remember in your life,
Oh,
right?
holy hell.
No,
You know,
just joking.
no, no. The thing that came out of that, and Lauren knows this, the best thing that came out of that was your brother.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I also, once all of that happened, it taught me so much about what really is needed in that type of a it's very intimate. To get married is very intimate. And when I look back upon that, had I not had that type of marriage first, and I just and met your dad, and it was all biologically your father with you and Keegan. But I think I might have been mistaken still to think I want a big fairy tale wedding. And when I got married to Michael, Lauren's dad, it was amazing because it was just the immediate family, a couple aunts and uncles also extended out, cousins, and a very small ceremony, same type of courthouse type ceremony, and dinner afterwards at our favorite Italian restaurant. It was amazing. I wore a vintage um, Scott McClintock dress that I got on sale at a discount store in LA for like $25. It was
Nice.
just, yeah, yeah. See, I mean, there's a lot to be said for wanting the glam, but when it comes down to it, really what's important are the people who are there, the actual act of the ceremony. Like I said, it's very intimate to stare into that person's eyes, say, I'm going to be with you the rest of my life, till death do us part, and really mean it. And there was just such a visceral difference between how that wedding went and the first one where I was just like,
Mhm.
just pretend it's all okay. And the next one where I'm just like crying through the whole ceremony, like, I'm so in love with you. I'm so happy we're getting married. So yeah, it's a completely different experience. But that's why I was asking about that, because I realized also for all of you listeners out there, unless you really hate your family or you want them to hate you, elope.
You
Because
know,
that's what's
that's kind
gonna
of
happen.
I'm gonna roll into that because, I'm, like, number 1 fan over here of eloping now, and I
Oh,
might do it again. Well, I haven't
you,
done it before, but I was
what have
married
I done to
before.
make you hate me?
No, but it was more of, like, kind of similar story. My wedding was, like, an outdoor wedding at a park, 70 people, so it wasn't, like, huge, but it
Beautiful
wasn't
though.
little either, and, similar feelings of, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing?" But I think when you're in that moment, you don't really trust yourself, and I was young, so I didn't understand that that was, like,
Yeah.
a gut feeling of, like, "This shouldn't be going on." It was just like, "Maybe I'm nervous," you know? Um, and yeah, looking back, and like now with Luis, I've been with him for 5 years now, and we talk about marriage and stuff. I'm like, kind of think it would be dope to elope. That's
Dope to elope.
I
There's
don't know
another
if
t-shirt.
that
Another good
rhymes.
t-shirt.
Yeah,
You guys are just cranking out the merch today.
dope to elope.
Dope to elope.
But yeah, I just think it would be cool to, kind of package the whole wedding and honeymoon in a trip. I think that would be kind of
Let,
nice. But the
let's
other
call it
option is
destination.
courthouse.
Destination wedding, Lauren. That's
Yeah, because I don't
different.
I don't really want anyone there, I feel like the first time everyone gotta be there and
He hates
everyone
me.
gotta support. But the second time, it's not really the same, so you wanna I think I would do what Luis wanted a little bit more because I'm obviously had my, like, fairy tale wedding, and it was lovely, but, doing it again for sure would only have a very small group of people. It to me, it wouldn't matter. As long as it's not in a church, I'm cool, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah,
I think
that's
Luis
definitely
feels the same way. He doesn't want to get married in a church. And I know he doesn't want to spend a bunch of money on a wedding. I mean, nowadays it's like the minimum you're going to spend is what? Maybe 15 grand. It's very
Oh,
expensive to have
yeah.
like a average wedding.
It's probably
So,
Oh,
more.
our friends recently got married. So we met some friends on the Camino years and years ago, and they actually met each other on the Camino to Santiago. And then we recently, this last summer, walked with them to Santiago they wanted to get married in Santiago after doing the Camino.
Oh.
oh,
And
it's
they
super
told
cute.
us they're Swedish. She's American and he's Swedish, but they live in Sweden. And to your point, is they looked at doing a wedding in Sweden, and it would have been fine, but it's still pretty expensive.
And of
And then
course, the US was way
the
too
U.S. was
expensive.
hilarious, and so then they looked at Spain and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is doable." And so they ended up finding just a ridiculous old stone cathedral. You can't get married in the cathedral in Santiago, but they
Yeah.
were like 300 yards away, but like a ridiculous Princess Diana size cathedral. But because there's so
Wow.
many in Santiago, you
Yeah.
walk
Mhm.
past it.
Mhm.
And we walked in, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then
But
the
and that meant a lot
reception.
to our friend Laura, who's very
Oh yeah, she's
Catholic.
very
So she
Catholic.
always was like, it's got to be a
Oh.
church for
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
So when
yeah.
Yeah.
but they ended up doing it for, I'm not going to say the exact number, but like way less. And we
Mhm.
raged with them. And like
Open
the
bar.
open bar, the bartender, it was so
Wow.
open. It was so open that the Spanish bartender, I was like, hey, I just want a glass of wine. I'm trying not to get on it. And he's like, no, no wine, only hard liquor. Let's ride. And I was like, what's happening?
And then I was like, "Okay, I need a glass of water." It's like I'm dancing a lot. I'm like, "I need it." And he was like, "Only if you also get a shot next to it."
Oh my god.
So we ended up having, it was one of the best weddings I've ever been to.
We
It was
drank a
super
Well,
fun.
yeah.
drank a lot of earbus.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
we put a few highlights in one of our videos when we got to Santiago. So if you actually
Okay.
want to see the last like 2 minutes
Okay.
of one of our videos, is our friends getting married and us raging. But
I
Oh.
love it.
it
I
was
love
it
it.
was a weird combination of all the three that we just said. It was a destination, but it was affordable and it had a lot of
Yeah.
meaning, and it was, I don't know. So yeah, there's no wrong way to do it. Just do what works for you guys,
Mhm.
Right,
and you
right.
will have a rad time. And if you get an open bar in Spain,
Yeah.
buckle up because it's
Yeah.
wild.
But I mean, I think these are things that people want to know because sometimes people will watch YouTube channels on travel writers or adventurous. I'm going to give you that name. And they may wonder how much of it is being put on for the show, right? For people's enjoyment. Really, are you getting along? Are you Chip and Joanna Gaines, or are you really you, right? And
Chip
and I
and
and
Joanna.
I I mean that to me is important to know because
Yeah,
as
of
we know
course.
that that marriage has got some rocky stuff going down over there. And we're all rooting for them, right? But you just don't know. Whereas I know you and I know this is you, right? So people just know this. They are exactly who they present themselves to be. They're amazing people and they pretty much will tell you anything you need to know about what it is that they promote. So when I watched your first YouTube video, it was about how the Camino, which I told you we'd get to it. We'd finally get to it because you know me, I'm just like walking around bird talking here. Um, the Camino is a reset. And I know, Shawn, this is going to sound totally sappy, but I actually teared up
Aw.
watching the video because, first of all, I have yet to do my Camino, and I'm waiting and hoping for the day that it'll be soon that Michael and I will be able to set some time aside and go. But
Mhm.
I do, I do think people don't understand how spiritual it is and how you have this disconnect from your life. You set out on this path, you meet amazing people who could become your next best friends, or they're just there to teach you that lesson for the day. And you have experiences that you never in your life thought you would ever have. So with that, the next obvious question has to be for each of you, because it might not be the same answer. What is your most favorite moment on the Camino that you've had? And what is your most, I don't know, I'm not going to say your worst, but whatever other moment you want to talk about? You know, your
Uh,
choice.
the bag of beans is pointing at me. So I'm glad you watched that video. That was fun to put together.
Oh, that one was Shawn writing poetry, and then I found all the clips like to go with it. But
Yeah.
it's Shawn
Lovely.
trying to write some poetry, which I love.
Yeah, we just try to
It
do
was
different
great.
types of videos. No, so I did the first Camino well before I met Lainey in 2007, something like that, 2008. Before smartphones. So that was a special way to get into the Camino. Also, everyone on the Camino back then didn't know what the heck they were doing. There was just a bunch of strangers wandering around in the like mountains. So one of the funnier memories, I met a semi-pro German hockey player who spoke no English. The only English he knew was from the songs that they play during like penalties. So he knew who let the dogs out like perfectly, but he couldn't talk. We couldn't talk to each other. So he just gave me chocolate and we walked together for a few days. And so to your point, like I don't remember his name, but I'll remember that thick German accent singing "Who Let the Dogs Out" till I die.
Yeah.
And then we met other friends like Hans and Laura, who are great friends, and we went to their wedding. So it runs the full gamut. So I think
Yeah.
that everyone, like you said, like the one through thread, I think for everyone that does it, because everyone brings something different in the Camino, but the one through thread is that you do step out of your daily life. So whatever
Yeah.
that is for you, if it's getting away from a bad thing that happened, if it's getting away from a job, if you're in transition, or if you just want to take a nice walk, you're not doing what you normally do. Walking 25 kilometers every day for a month, no one does that. So everyone's out of their selves. So there's a little bit of a rawness and an openness. So you can take whatever you want from that, and I think everyone does.
So, what's your favorite memory then?
My favorite memory is German hockey player, and there's a section of the Camino that not a lot of people like. It's called the Meseta, and it's hot and flat and quote boring, and I love it. It's my favorite. So we had a day where we didn't have accommodation, and the whole town was booked out, and one of us was feeling sick, and we got to town,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they didn't
you had like a cold, a
had
really bad
something going
cold.
on.
Yeah.
And there were no room at the inn, and so we had to walk an extra 10 kilometers at the end of the day through the heat. And we just started like hallucinating almost with like how hot and weird it was. And Lainey pumped up the jams, and we just partied our way across the section
We
of the
were
Meseta,
alone.
snowing around, and ended up having one of the best afternoons ever, even when everything went wrong. So that was like fantastic. I love that.
That sounds
I
amazing.
love that.
So
So
one of my favorite memories is it was my birthday, and we were hiking the Camino in Vierno last March, and we did like a 20 kilometers in the morning. So I was like, we gotta get to Lalin for lunchtime because I really want to eat Lalin Cocido's famous dish for my birthday lunch. And after that, we were only going like 2.5 more kilometers or something. We booked ourselves a really nice like thalassotherapy hotel for my birthday. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna soak. I'm gonna eat a bunch of pork. It's great. But in the Cocido place, we went to the tourism like pilgrim shop, and the guy there was giving out these fancy stamps that he was making with wax and like colored hot glue, and he was sticking like all sorts of different paraphernalia and things in there, and you got to pick your different
It took like half an hour
for him to make these stamps in our book. And he was giving me all these free like Camino books because it was my birthday. And then I said, I really want to eat some cocido. And he's like, I'm going to walk you to this cocido place. That's great. So he walked us into this cocido spot, and we're in our gross, super smelly pilgrim gear, which we hadn't washed our clothes for a few days because it was really cold and wet and damp. So we were extra dirty because it's winter.
It's not like the dogs coming in when they get there.
Yeah, your clothes won't dry, so why would I wash them?
Melissa leaned back, even though we're on a
that's it.
call. She like leaned back, like she imagined what we smelled like. I hate
I
it.
did.
So we go in to get cocido, they seat us, and it was just this endless plates of amazing food. And these two other pilgrims that we had met from Portugal ended up sitting in the table next to us. And
Nice.
when they brought out the dessert portion, the waiters had put a little candle on there, and we're singing "Happy Birthday" to me in
Oh.
Galician, and then the Portuguese couple sang it to me in Portuguese, and it was just so sweet. It was so cute, and the food was delicious. We got very day drunk because they just give you endless wine and liquors,
Mm.
and we were only going a little bit further after that. So I was like, all right, that's my final meal for the day. I've had so much pork. It was just so like a little Camino magic, and that the guy brought us there, and then the Portuguese pilgrims, and who we had barely seen any pilgrims that whole route because it was
Wow.
Mark we were walking, and there's only I think like 5 other people on the whole trail, and it just happened that one of those days we all happened to be in the same place.
We
Well,
checked into an albergue once that on that trip it had 100 spaces, and
yeah.
the guy left a key under a rock, and we were the only 2 people in
Oh,
there.
that was a great
It
story.
was like
Wow.
friggin' Shining. Like I was like, "Oh, this is
Oh,
where
no.
we die."
And there was a little pellet stove. We walked in, he had the pellet stove on already to
Yeah.
start heating it up, but we were like, there's all quiet and dark in here. There's just a stove running.
He's like, "I'm gonna take a shower, but you need to talk to me the whole time
You have to
so
stand
that
outside
I'm
the
not
door."
getting murdered."
No.
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
There were some
Oh.
funny stories too, like dealing with heat waves when we were in France this last summer. And
Oh,
we were with our
yeah.
friends Hans and Laura who got married, and we all had to start waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning to start walking. So we
Yep.
were done by 11 or 1 at the maximum. And this is kind of
Mm.
like a story where everything goes wrong, but also it all goes right. So individually, like Shawn and I had left half hour before Hans and Laura had. They were still having breakfast. And apparently the route got rerouted and we got
Oh.
lost. And
Oh
because there was some kind of
no.
landslide. And so we were following like the trail map we had, and our GPS was telling us we were correct. But there was like some signs, local signs that were pointing other directions. And I was like, this can't be right. Like, I
Oh
don't see this anywhere
no.
online that it's rerouted. Let's just stick to the GPS we have. And that ended up going through a landslide, and there was like
Oh
snakes dropping
no.
out of the trees on us.
Oh my
What?
God.
4
different
snakes.
snakes. So I was like, this doesn't feel like the right way to go, but whatever. When you're on a trail, you
Snake
have
route.
disagreements, and then at the end of the day, you just have to whatever you do, you're with it. So I'm taller than her, and I'm bushwhacking, and I'm like swearing and punching
We're
spiders,
so angry.
and I'm like actively just grumbling in the front, like fucking sucks. I hate everything about this. And then the snakes started falling from the trees, and I
Oh
hate
my
snakes.
Oh,
And I
who
was just like,
doesn't?
"Are you effing kidding me?" Like I was just, and so Lainey, she would just see me freak out and be like, "What is it?" And I'd be like, "It's not a fucking snake."
We eventually make our way. We make it to the town we're staying in. We got back on trail. The next 10 kilometers is fine. We get to where we're going, and we're like exhausted. We get to this town, and it's 1 p.m. and I'm just laying in the plaza. Like even the fountain water was hot. We couldn't get anything cold. I'm just like at the bar, like standing in front of a fan. And our friends finally meet up with us, and we're checking into the place we're staying in. And I was like, how was your day, guys? And they said, it was the worst. And I was like, no way. Ours was the worst day, too. And they did the same mistake we did.
Oh no.
But I did it first, so
Yeah,
I got
that's it.
snake spider webs. I was like, "Oh, so did you see 100 snakes
and
and all the spiders?" And they're like, "No, what are you talking about? It was just we just got lost." And I'm like, "Screw you guys."
You need to go back now and get some more snakes in your face so you can make this the equivalent day.
Yeah.
So even if it was like the worst story in some ways, it was also the best because this camaraderie that we were just both like, oh my gosh, this day was the worst. And we were all just immediately in it together.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know what the Camino de Santiago is. We haven't even really talked about
Not
that
that.
yet.
It's not
So-
snakes in France. That's nothing.
Not snakes in France. So it's a pilgrimage to, it's called the St. James Way in English. It's a pilgrimage through Spain, different ways you can go through different parts of Europe. Actually, you can start in any part of the world technically. And then you just get on a trail that is known. And there's many trails. There's about 5 major trails, and then there's like just a ton of little internal trails all over Spain, especially once you get to Galicia. So was the pilgrimage of St. James. His bones are apparently buried in the cathedral. There's a lot of debate whether or not they're actually there, if he actually even made it there, and if his bones are all the way out to the coast in Pontevedra, out into this other little area that people will even go further past the cathedral and out to the water to make the entire pilgrimage that a lot of people don't do. There's all sorts of things for people to show deference when they get to the cathedral by walking into the church the first time on their knees. They crawl in. There's this amazing incense swinging giant, I forgot what they're called, but, like, it looks like a giant cauldron.
Fumero.
Both the Fumero.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, and they swing that thing back and forth. Don't get in the way, you will be beheaded because 'cause it'll smack you worse than the watermelon, and yeah, so
Yeah, science wins on that one.
yeah, worse than the watermelon. So, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience, but you see people doing it on horseback,
Mhm.
on bicycles, walking. You see people with all different abilities. They'll bring groups with people with prosthetic legs or wheelchair or walking canes. I mean, any type of ability comes through, which is what makes this thing amazing because when you're able bodied, quote unquote, and you go through, by the time you're done with it, there's a lot of knee braces I see happening at the cathedral.
Mhm.
So I know that Shawn and Lainey have had a little bit of experience with the knee brace aspect. What let's talk, and before you answer that, just last little bit, the Invierno, the one that they're talking about, that trail, it's the winter trail. So not only are there different areas that you can go to, the Portuguese trail, the French way, right? The English way, and then there's the northern way, and then there's this winter way, and then besides that, I think those are probably the most popular
Primitivo.
ones.
Primitivo would be the other one,
Primitivo.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, the primitive way,
First.
exactly, primitivo way. But that those are all they all have their own challenges. The French way is the most widely walked, or the most widely known, I should say.
Mhm.
And that's can be crowded. It can be very crowded. And when you have a heat wave going and you're fighting for a place to stay and get some shade, not fun. But fighting snakes on top of that is probably hell. Um, and then if your knee goes out, probably not good either. So how much, because Lainey, you're a dancer, you depend on your body for your living, did it just piss you off that your body was like, "Nah, I'm done."
So, I mean, most of my issues on the Camino in the past were blisters, which is the most common problem. And
Mm.
then when we walked the Camino Invierno in March, it was for my 35th birthday, and my body just fell apart. Like I got
Mm.
tendonitis in my knees, I got tendonitis in my feet, and I just felt like, what happened? I got old overnight. And a lot of it though was what happened is I wasn't wearing cushioned enough shoes for the amount of asphalt
Mm.
walking on that route.
Mhm.
And we were
Yeah.
doing some really big days, mostly because there's just not as many accommodation options there. So you're kind of forced into walking some of the really long days on that route,
Yeah.
unless you're willing to spend on like a really expensive guest house that you have to drive to, like they'll pick you up. And that wasn't in our budget. So
Yeah, yeah.
between like the wrong shoes and just the distance and the cold, I think, my bones are everything's just a little stiffer. So that knee injury I actually was dealing with for the rest of the year. So a lot of my knee bracing on the future walks I did last year, which was the Primitivo and then the French walk via Podiensis and the Camino Frances,
Mhm.
I was wearing the brace as more of a preventative.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of downhill days on the Camino Primitivo, and I was favoring one knee because it was starting to like act up from the downhill, and then my other knee gave problem, and I was like, oh my
Oh.
gosh! So I was doing two knee braces. So I learned that lesson, and when we were in France and on the Camino Frances
Mhm.
in Spain, I started to try to get more in tune to what I was feeling to prevent it from getting worse as soon as I felt the beginnings of tendonitis. And that's something as a dancer, you really become aware of what your body is. And since I'd already dealt with tendonitis twice before, I was like, okay, I know what this is going to feel like. So there
Right.
was a couple days where I felt like this is about to happen. So I would then just say, okay, I have to go really slow today. I have to walk really slowly. I don't care that I get in really late. I have to slow down. Even if I want to walk quickly, I can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would put the braces back on just to keep my knees, like, pull awareness to those joints. And
Mhm.
I started slathering my knees in arnica gel every night and every morning, which helps a lot. I swear
Love
by
that
arnica
stuff.
gel. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. It's my thing now. I was like, why didn't I
Mhm.
bring this on the other routes? I always use it for dancing anyways. I should just
Mm.
kind of bring some of this training I have into the Camino stuff. And I wasn't really making that mental connection until we did this 54-day walk. And I said, okay, I have to take better care because it's a really long walk. It's not just
Right.
12 days and I can just kind of grit through it, which I don't suggest gritting through it. It wasn't the right choice. But now it's been let's see, it's May, so it's been like 9 months since we did our last big Camino, and 8 months. Either way, but now I'm like, I think I won't need the knee braces this year. I'll bring them in case I start to feel something, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm a little more aware. I'm trying to like keep my shoes a little fresher and less
Right, right,
worn
right.
out.
Yeah, we're
But
doing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say getting old is a bitch. Let's just be out with it, and your body, you're used to it being able to do so much, and then all of a sudden, bleh, it craps out on you in the most random moments, doing the most random things that you wouldn't even think. You bend down to pick a pen up, and all of a sudden you stand up and you're like, oh, what was that? And just weird stuff. And people think that if you use your body less, that happens more regularly. Yes, I would think obviously if you don't use your body, it's going to injure itself. But people who are professional athletes, like the two of you, when you use your body, you actually are wearing your body
professional
parts out. Oh, the
professional
Camino
bag of
walker.
beans right here. That's what I was gonna
Bag of,
say.
Professional
just
bag of beans.
2 sacks of beans
But
Two
that's
sacks
wandering
of
around.
beans.
this is part of why
Around.
Shawn
Yeah.
insists on carrying like the smallest bag ever is because it helps him. His knees don't have
Yeah,
any issues like they used to.
because
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
knee problems since I was like 11 years old, 12 years old. I had like a growth plate disease, so I've always had bad knees, even as a child, which is horrible.
I think you
Um,
share that. I think you share that, Shawn, with Lauren.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oshka,
Yep.
Oshka
Yep.
Slaughters.
Yep.
yep, yeah.
Yep.
I was like a national track athlete, and then I wasn't.
Oh my
Um,
God. I
yeah,
s- I understand. I used to do year-round sports and like doctors made me stop at 12 and I didn't know who I was after that. Yeah, it was like,
yeah.
what do you mean? Like, yeah, I completely understand. It's very devastating.
Which is it's strange to have it as a preteen to be like, oh, you
Mhm.
have like essentially like it feels like arthritis and it's like intense pain in your knees
Yeah.
and like you can't
Yeah.
do stuff. So there, that was there. So I've always had knee problems. I blew my knee out on the first Camino I did because I walked too fast with
With the German guy.
that hockey player.
Ah,
We were doing like 35, 40K days. So it was
jeez.
just way too fast. So that's one of the if people are looking for advice, I don't know if they are, but it's just you have to slowly build up your distance. There's stages that like guidebooks recommend. Don't
Mm,
listen to them if you want to go slower. We joked with a friend who was asking us. We recently met someone on the Camino, like, and she was recovering from chemotherapy, and she had all this. She was like, "I'm
Mm.
scared about not being able to hit the stages," and I was like, "Don't hit the stages."
mhm,
I've never met anyone on the Camino
mhm.
who regretted having a short day. Because if
Yeah.
you do
Mhm.
a tiny day, let's say you do 7 kilometers,
Which we have done
Mhm.
before.
it's you
Ah,
get in, you get to sleep in, you cruise through the day. You're like, oh, I see a bird, and you walk over to the bird. You're like, oh, take a nap under this bush. You have a great day. You get in early, you get your bed, you have a beer, you play cards, you take a different nap under a
sounds
different
great.
bush, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, if you
Yeah.
don't have a time crunch, so I think a lot of these I want to be very careful, but I think a lot of these injuries are sort of self-inflicted by people
Mm,
pushing too fast,
Yeah.
going too hard,
mhm.
and carrying way too much stuff.
Yeah.
They
Well,
forget what
or
happens when you add 40 pounds to your body. Your knees are
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
wait, what is this?
Mhm.
Mhm.
or people also trying to keep up with friends, which is my problem. I
Yeah.
try to keep up with people I'm chatting with and I get a little carried
But
away.
that's hard.
Mm.
I empathize with that a lot. You meet a really cool new person and you want to stay up and you want to chat about which bush to take a
You
nap
just
under.
don't
But
realize like your pace is like faster than your normal pace and you're
yeah,
maybe overstriding a little bit. And
so
so
it's
Yeah,
hard. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, so
every
so Shawn packs like nothing to prevent
And so I did my
his
last we did the
I
one
love that.
from Le Puy-en-Velay in the middle of France to Santiago. It took us like a month and a half, and I did it in like a 7-liter lumbar pack, and it
That's
just had
awesome.
everything I needed, and I didn't have knee problems. I didn't even wear my knee
Mhm,
brace. So
mhm.
I don't know. Advice
That's
is
gonna be
you
me.
gotta go slow.
That's gonna be me. I'm doing the
Yeah.
lumbar pack. I have committed to that. Michael knows that because I don't want to carry any extra weight if I don't have to. And
Yeah.
I would be one of those people that would save enough money to do the Camino where I could send my bags ahead by some company if I had to.
Sure.
However, we do have a little story to tell that Lauren knows a tiny bit about, and it is a little bit about taking a short
Mhm.
day or a short Camino, or let's say an interrupted Camino due to some unforeseen weather. We gotta well, okay. This The weather in Galicia can change in a moment's notice, and there is the expression here, like they have in Ireland and in Portland, Oregon, out there, PDXers. Uh, Wait 5 minutes if you don't like the weather, because it's gonna change, right? So Galicia is very much like that in the shoulder seasons. And I knew that Shawn and Lainey were gonna do a Camino from their house in Urense and walk to Santiago, and I thought, "Oh, Michael, this is really cool because we could do the same thing. We know where to catch the Camino, and we learned through Shawn and Lainey that if you do it, it still qualifies because you're in Galicia, you start somewhere, and then you go and you get your" I mean, we're still a good 100 kilometers away to get our Compostela, the whole certificate, which is the whole deal. You wanna do this. And they started from Urense, and I just watched the video, by the way, and that was brilliant. And they're like walking, and I knew the day they left, we had just had 2 weeks of beautiful weather. And we got this crazy, crazy rain and hailstorm. And every time it rains, Lauren and I'll call each other, like, is it over there? Is it in Vigo? And she's about an hour and a half away on the coastline from where I'm at. But we're about the same latitude as in Galicia. So I'm like, do you guys have that weather? Because often whatever she's got, it's going to head over to us and I'm going to get pounded with whatever they've got first. And so she's like, nah, it was just awful. This crap came through. And I'm like, yeah, we had almost golf ball size hail hitting our house. And we are a little bit higher up in elevation, but I didn't know that Shawn and Lainey are going to be walking through that. So I just jokingly text Lainey. I'm like, hey, you guys okay? Because, if you need an emergency pickup, give me a call or text me or whatever. We'll come get you. And she's like, "No, we made it to Albergue already. It's great. We missed the rain." I'm like, "Oh, good. They're good." Me not knowing anything about how they were dressed, what they took, nothing. So then we get a text the next day, which was equally evil weather for spring. We get a text. She's like, "It's snowing. Were you guys serious? Were you actually? I don't know. Oh, maybe I do have the text. I'm gonna read the text because it was brilliant. It was great. I actually have it. I have the cliff notes. We have the evidence here. Let's see.
While you're pulling it up, I'll say you saved our
Yeah.
lives.
Oh, you did do that, and it was adorable, and I didn't understand until I watched the video because I thought you were just being generous in your thanks. She said, "You're like, how" Hey, she goes, "Hey, are you serious about picking us up? We just got snowed on for 2 hours, and we're pretty miserable. We're in,
Oh.
DAZN." And I said, "Sure, send a location pin, and we're on our way." And she's like, "You guys are lifesavers." And I said, "No problem. We'll be there in about 30." And I'm just like, "No big deal." And she's like, "Thank you. You are literally saving our lives." I'm like, that's what friends are for. But it was hilarious because we got there, they already had changed their clothes. You guys were into your warm clothes. You were still freezing, and I could still everybody was freezing. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you changed out of pants, maybe some other warmer clothes. No, these little guys, they're walking in shorts and basically like lightweight jackets, almost t-shirt type weather. They're walking in snow in shorts. Her video about this, they're both of them are like frozen popsicles with the legs just bright red. You knew that they were miserable, and it was just awful. And I was very, very proud of the two of you
For
that you
quitting, which
said,
is the right
yeah,
move.
for quitting. Yes, because that is also something on these whether it's the round the world trip, whether it's whatever it is, you just got to understand sometimes it's not going to happen, and it's for good reason, because you
Mhm.
don't want to jeopardize yourself. You don't want to be sick. Like you're saying, you don't want to walk too fast. You don't want to be in extended heat. You don't want to be extreme cold. You don't want to have spiders and snakes falling on you going through a rock slide, a
Yeah.
landslide moment.
My
Oh.
T-shirt for this is "Give up. It feels so good." Like, quitting is the best. So I'll just quickly just say, so Lainey, we live in Galicia and we moved here to. We love the hot pools and we love the lifestyle in Spain, but Galicia specifically, partly for its proximity to so many different Camino routes and Santiago.
Mhm.
So, we're fairly open calendar. So Lainey tries to find times where we can pack in a Camino here, a Camino there, or plan a bigger one later in the year. And she's like, "Hey, let's do the one to Santiago and back. It's 8 days. Like, no worries." And yeah, like I said, the weather was beautiful, so we're like all excited. And then 2 3 days before, I'm like, the weather's changing, but we'll see. And that's the luxury of living so close, is that we could see. We didn't have to buy any flights. We didn't have to do anything like that. So
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
went, and no mistakes were made. We just got stuck out there in the wrong clothes,
Well, we could have brought winter gear, which we just didn't. We were like, it's spring. It'll be
Yeah.
like a little rain and then it'll stop. Like
Yeah.
I'm fine in
But it was
shorts.
the worst. It was honestly, we talked to a few people that know what they're talking about with like altitude and exposure and stuff,
Hypothermia and
and we got
Mhm.
the worst actual mix of weather, which was like really really wet, but the
Mhm.
temperature was above freezing. So like we got everything soaked, like all of our clothes, the road, all of it got very very very
our
wet.
our core was
Mhm.
like our
And
core was
then
dry, but
the
that's it.
temperature dropped in the early
Yeah. Yeah.
afternoon as we got altitude. So then it went from wet to cold to like
Yep.
that slushy. And so we
Mhm.
talked to some people and they say like the most dangerous weather is actually not below zero, it's just above zero,
Mhm. Mhm.
because it's not so dry. And it just,
Mhm.
so like my hands got really cold even through my gloves because they were soaked through. So there was a few times where like we were like laughing. We're like, "Hey, it's snowing. Let's keep going." We're fairly tough. And then it
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, this sucks." But at least it's not snakes. And then it was like, "Oh, this
It's
is."
ice crystals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
when you're cold, you can keep moving. You think
yeah.
like, oh, as long as I keep
Mhm.
moving, I'll get to the next
Yeah.
place. I'll get to the
Yeah.
bar.
And
When it's
then
hot, you're just like, I'm gonna die, and there's a snake
yeah.
following me.
And then we
Yeah.
reached and then we reached like, "Oh, this is pretty bad." And the day, unfortunately, that second day, it's a really beautiful walk, but that second day there's about 10 kilometers where you're just not near anything, no villages, no
Yeah.
roads. So
Yeah.
the end part of the day, we were like, "We got to get out of here. Like, this is not where we want to be." We weren't going to die or anything, but we were like, "This is where mistakes, if something goes wrong, we don't want to be out here." So
Right.
we made the call. Right when we got to the cafe, finally, we were like, this, because we looked at the weather, and the next 5 days were just more of the same. And we're like, this is
Yep.
this is not
This is
how I want to spend our time. Like, I live. We looked at we live 26 minutes away. We're like, what are we doing? So
Yeah.
you guys are amazing. Thank you for getting us, and we'll do that route another time when we're
Yeah.
not putting anything at risk.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also just to be clear, we've said this a lot. We've never seen snakes on the trails in Spain. It was always in France.
Yeah, what's up with that? Maybe there's just this protection little thing on the border that just says, "Nope,
Pyrenees.
you can't get here." The Pyrenees
Yeah,
Mhm.
blocks them
Pyrenees
off.
really change everything. Like
yeah, the
France
Pyrenees.
was
Oh.
humid and buggy and a lot of
Oh, yeah.
big spiders and
Mhm. Mhm.
just
Weird
really
snakes.
humid and
Wow.
hot. And then as soon as you get over the Pyrenees, it's just a whole different
Right.
ecosystem feeling. And like when
Yeah.
you cross that over, it's just you feel change. Like the wind is now drier and
Mhm.
the landscape is so different. It's very interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about completely different, geography,
Yeah.
climate
Yeah.
systems, all of it, and that's the thing too, because all of us, even though Lauren wasn't raised in California, but she was, Pacific Coast, and all of us have lived up and down the coast, and we understand those climate changes because it's very similar, I think, in certain areas to the Pacific Northwest, but also to California, Northern California, and even parts of Southern California. I'll get places here and I'm like, wow. And then the whole East Coast part kind of chimes in over here. Galicia is just a melange of all sorts of weather systems and plants that shouldn't be
Yeah.
here, where you have
Tons of
kiwis growing next.
microclimates.
Yeah, and
I heard
kiwis
I heard
growing
it's
next
the
to
most
everything.
kiwis in the world outside of
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand is
I think
Galicia, and we're
so.
like, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
But
mean,
I'm
my
not
neighbor's
shocked.
bringing me bags
Right.
of
Yeah.
kiwis all the time. It's yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we
I don't
dig
know,
it.
Lauren.
I like the weather.
I feel like I need to eat a kiwi right now because they're really loud when I eat kiwis, and it'll just be part of our
Yeah.
ASMR
It's
channel.
an
That's gonna
audio
be yeah.
nightmare.
That's gonna be that was our idea first, Lainey, so you can't
Yeah.
unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to eat the kiwis, no. But I do have
Not a t-shirt.
a random, well, similar question, but because of how many Caminos you do in Europe, curious if either of you done the Appalachian Trail or parts of it, or been wanting to be part of that whole community, because there's a whole, like, the PCT and
Mhm.
Wild, Reese Witherspoon's book, not book, it was Cheryl Strand,
A
but
book or
still,
movie.
yeah, her movie about the book, right? So I know that inspired a lot of people as well, and there's a whole community there. So are you guys tapped into that at all?
Yes and no. I mean, we're people who like to carry as little as we can. So neither of us
Mm.
are really backpackers, like overnight with a tent and stuff. I did do some backpacking when I was in high school, in the beginning of college. I hiked through many of the trails in California, a lot of them crossing through where the PCT goes when I was a teenager with my mom. And then when we lived in New York, I did a lot of hiking, and some of it was on the Appalachian Trail area. But as much as I follow all the blogs. I like read all
Right.
the things that are going on all those long trails. We've never really made the leap to actually doing them.
Yeah.
We almost thought of doing the PCT during parts
During
of COVID
lockdown,
as
yeah.
just a way to like get out of the
Mhm.
house, but we ended up buying a car instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the community there is like it feels like it would have crossover, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's walking. But the thing I was trying to tell, so that's actually one of the big misconceptions that especially Americans have when they plan to do the Camino in Spain, is
Mhm.
they think it's going to be the AT, they think it's going to be the PCT, so they bring like meal rations and cooking stoves and like emergency blankets, which we probably should have had this last week,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
pack like they're going into the wild. And what I always like to say is that on the Camino Frances in particular, you're never more than 20 minutes from a cappuccino. Like you
Mhm.
don't need to plan for the zombie apocalypse. You need to bring a clean underwear, clean socks, and
So
a positive attitude. Yeah,
Great.
like it is not bushwhacking. You don't need to carry a tent unless you want to. There are people that do
Yeah.
that way, but they're a very, very small percentage.
I guess once we started to do the hiking, from town to town to town, which is just a series of day hikes, you kind of
Mhm.
get used to the luxury of like you have a hot meal, you don't have
Yeah.
to starve, you get to sleep
There's
in
a
a
bed.
bed, and you get a shower.
Yeah.
And even if it's a bunk bed with a bunch of snoring people, you're still
It's not luxurious, but
yeah.
it's not. You
I
don't
was
carry
gonna
any.
say, I have such a
Mm-mm.
hard time with, like, sleeping
I'm
in
not doing it.
rooms with people, not
Yeah,
for, like, my
Nope.
safety or anything, just because I'm like, "What the fuck is that guy dreaming about? Shut the fuck up over there," like,
yeah.
you hear
Our
that, and
friend,
also the bed bugs. I heard there were
That's
so many
it.
bed bug infestations
Mm.
right after COVID because everyone was going, so,
Jizz.
um,
Yeah,
I'm
Is
just
the
curious.
further in the year you're gonna have more bed bug problems, like in the
we've gotten
middle
them.
to end of summer in
We'll
September, you'll have
yeah,
more of an issue.
we've gotten them once, sort of, and it's like one of those things that like everyone. It is a crappy thing that is part of the Camino, but it's not everywhere all the time.
So, couple things about
We
bed
also differ
bugs.
on this a little bit. Like I'm
Yeah,
not as worried about it.
some
Yeah.
fun facts about bed bugs.
Yes.
One, not everyone shows bites. Like I don't react to bed bug bites, and if I do, I've never been bit.
So
But
you'd
we
be a
have shared
carrier?
a bed and we have shared a bunk, and Shawn has gotten bites and I've had none. So I may not react to
Oh,
bites. So
see, that'd
it's
be
really
me.
easy to spread them because some people never show
Yeah,
bites. Some people also take up to a week for those bites to show up, so they don't
Mm.
realize they're carrying the bugs with them from place to place to
No,
place.
no.
we
So what
we've
we do
yeah.
is I'm paranoid. 'Cause every
Good.
Yeah.
single place we go, I check the beds and you
Yeah.
look for cracks and you look for evidence. And I think a handful of times we've left a place because we saw evidence of an infestation, or even if it was a previous infestation.
Yeah.
the hospice
which
so
is
Do
hard
they
to
give
do
you
when
your
you're
money back?
tired.
yeah,
Yeah, what
Yeah,
happens?
99% of the time they'll just give you like walk upstairs and you're like, dude,
you go
there's a chinche in there, and they're
and
like, they'll fight. We've gotten pushback on it once or twice, but I'll be like, don't make me start yelling what I saw up there. Like, it's just give me
Right,
my, give me
Yeah.
my 20 euros
right.
back and we'll keep on rolling,
so
which
bef
is hard to do when you're really tired and
mhm.
you just
Yes.
want
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
done. But Lainey's always right about it, but it's always a buck. Cause I'm like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's rare, and sometimes you don't see an evidence of it because maybe the bugs came in with someone's bag that night or the night before or something.
Oh,
It
Oh.
happens,
true.
and you just have to deal with it. You just know that okay, you go to the next place. You either stop at a town to do a bunch of laundry, or you tell the place you're staying at the
Mhm,
next night,
mhm.
and you tell the place you got them from, so
Yeah.
that they can debug because no one wants them. It's not like
No,
it's
yeah.
very rare. It's negligence,
Right,
and
right,
so
right.
you throw everything in the dryer or you wash it on a
Mhm.
really hot cycle. And we have a
Yeah.
lot of like delicate fabrics and stuff. So we'll either just wash it hot
Mm.
for an hour and a half, the longest cycle you can on the hottest setting,
Mm-hmm.
or you put everything dry in the dryer and then you wash
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So as long as
That's
like, yeah, like we're wearing wool shirts, they'll shrink if you put them in the dryer wet.
right, right. You don't want that. No,
Yeah,
I
you put
think
'em in
that's
the
really good for the audience to know because someone like me is
Yeah.
just like you, Lainey, where I'm like, I swear to God, if I see a bed bug right now, I don't know what. And it's not that I don't like bugs. I'm a huge bug lover, but you don't love certain bugs, right? Ticks, fleas, bed bugs. You're like, fuck that.
Lice.
But
Yeah.
it's nice to know that. I think that maybe the
Shakers.
American in me wouldn't want to say anything, and be like, oh, I know that everyone else is cool with this. So, like, I don't want to
No,
be the
God no.
American making a big deal. But
Mm.
that's nice. That's what I'm saying. You guys do it so
Mhm.
much. You've probably seen
Yeah.
other people have that conversation. And it's nice to know that you can,
The good
deal
news
with it in
is,
a nice
yeah.
way.
The good news is that I sent a video around of like there's a guy in like NYU School of Entomology or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
he has a whole bed bugs clinic study, and I learned a bunch of stuff, but they're not dangerous. They don't transmit any diseases. They're just a pain in the ass. So you're
Yeah.
not gonna get
Literally.
sick. You're not gonna get sick. You're not gonna get Lyme disease. Like to compare them to
Okay.
ticks is unfair. Like
Mhm.
Okay.
it's just a shady thing that can happen. And again, like she said, like 40% of people, like a shocking number of people,
Mhm.
Don't
they
even
don't
know.
have a reaction to the bites. I have a
Now,
very mild reaction. Like I'll have an HE arm for like an hour.
But like
Like
our
no.
friend is deathly allergic to them and
our
has to
friend
like
had
go
to
to
go
the
to the
hospital.
hospital because his hand looked like he'd punched
Same.
a wall and it was
That'd
just
be
so
me.
swollen.
Yeah.
That's me.
Oh.
I
So,
need a hazmat suit now to go out in my garden.
right.
So I try. I try
Yeah.
all the time, and I mean, I know better now. And I thought I escaped it here in Europe because no poison sumac, oak, or ivy.
Net
But
about
apparently,
nettles.
yeah,
Stinging
yeah,
nettle,
that's
yeah.
another story of Lainey's ass getting into a thing of nettles on the Camino, and she had spiky ass, and they hurt, and it
Oh.
burns, and it's like somebody putting like salt in wounds, it burning, like putting a flame up to your
Everyone,
No, and like
skin.
the biggest advice on the Camino, watch where you're squatting because there
Yes,
will be nettles and it is the worst lesson to learn
it's
after the
awful.
fact what they look like.
everyone
Yeah.
It's
listening to this
awful.
podcast, I don't know a single person that's
That's
gonna go
good.
on the Camino.
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
We've given the worst representation. We're like, all right, there's snakes that fly out of everywhere. There's heat waves. You'll get stuck in the snow and die.
There's bed bugs.
Everyone
I thought,
snores. There's bed bugs. It's
There's
crowded.
nettles.
yeah,
There's your
your
ass
knees
will
are
have a
blown out.
rash. You blow your knees out. You're gonna get in a fight. People smell like ass. Like it's the worst. If I was listening to this, hey, anyone listening to this, this is just me and you talking. This is Shawn. Don't listen to anything the last hour. Forget it. Camino's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
Okay.
fine, and nothing bad will happen to you.
But Sean, I've got a remedy for that. Listen to Melissa right now. This is what you need to do. You need to do the glamping Camino. That's
Mm,
gonna be my thing, and I'm shameless for promoting this, but I am gonna stay at like nice hotels each part of the way as much as I can, or the nicest ones in a private room, because I'm not sleeping with somebody snoring, and
yeah.
I don't like I'm not. I also on the same camp with Lauren here that I don't really care about people. And there people are gonna be fine. Everybody's there to do a pilgrimage. Nobody's there to be all creepy and do weird stuff. But people are really are people. I can't even sometimes sleep next to Michael if I hear him breathe weird. I'm like, no, and so I have to have a little special device under my
Earplugs.
yeah,
Yeah.
earplugs, and I have to have one of those little white noise things under my
Sure.
pillow. And Michael doesn't even snore, for the record. He snores incredibly lightly if he snores at all, but it's enough where I'm like, what is that? And that's because I was cursed to have children. I say that. No,
Yeah.
because
You're welcome.
once you become a parent, you never sleep the same again. You become a
Uh,
light sleeper. You're like, oh, because in the
Yeah.
beginning, you're
yeah.
like, oh, it's the baby crying. And then, oh, they're having a nightmare. And then later on, what are they doing up playing video games? And then later it's, did they fucking come home? Is that the door at 4 in the
Mhm.
morning coming
Yeah.
in, trying to sneak into the house? Did they just crawl out the window with their friends? Because, those are my children. And then Keegan got so Lauren didn't do this, thank goodness. Lauren actually sprinted home several occasions not to be late getting home. But her brother just said, fuck it, I'm going to sleep on the park bench because I know I'm going to get in trouble if they
Mhm.
catch me coming in. So I'm just going to stay here and then just come in and be like, hey, what's for breakfast? Thinking that,
Yeah.
he's been there
That
all night.
that was better. Yeah, that was better.
When we think about that, I really wish I could camp in a tent in the Camino, but what people don't
Yeah.
know, there's not open camping in Spain. There in France, you can camp at different places called les campings, which I love that
Nailed it.
they yeah,
Nailed it,
they
by
call
the
it
way.
les campings. But then in Spain, you can't just randomly camp unless somebody gives you permission to camp on their land. So you would need to know, right? And that makes it much more difficult, which is why the Camino isn't like the PCT or the AP, where you bring your whole sack and you camp with the everything that Lainey was talking about. But it would be really cool if you could, because I'd give up the glamping if I could just tent it all the
You
way.
can,
Me
but you
too.
have to contact the albergues. So you're essentially sleeping in the backyard. It's
Yeah.
it's not like
Ah.
you're
Not all of them let you do
not
that.
all, but there's
Yeah.
a network for sure.
Mm,
It's
okay.
it's definitely on our radar
On
as a way
the
to do the Camino differently.
Right.
When one of these days we'll do that, or I'll do it. I don't know if she wants to,
some
but
routes are a little easier to do that than others, like the Norte or maybe
Sure.
the Primitivo. But if you're like going through a city, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way you
The,
could
Yeah.
do
the
it.
albergues
Yeah.
don't
yeah,
have outdoor
you have
Yeah.
to
space.
go off stage to do it. But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
we've met people that at least peppered it in, and
Mhm.
they actually we met a couple that on when we were doing our RTW, we did a Camino at the beginning of it, and they were just coming off of the long 2 year RTW and
Okay.
finishing with the Camino, and they were ultralight camper PCT kind of people, and they were basically doing kind of like 5 days of camping, 1 day of albergue for like
Ah,
5
okay.
days of camp, or 3-1, 4-1, 5-1.
On the
So because
Norte.
there's days where you can't avoid it, but the
Right.
majority of their trip was out in a tent, and they
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that
But
was
what really threw me back to the glamping was the fact that Shawn had the waist pack that basically is like a big giant fanny pack and the
Hmm.
lumbar pack. That to me really changed my whole outlook on carrying everything.
Yay.
And that also, because then you don't have to send your bags ahead, right? And you don't have to do that if you don't want to carry them. I do know that one day Lauren and I will do it on horseback. I know that for a
Ooh.
fact we will do that because we're big horseback people. We love it. We I can't wait to do that. I think Michael will probably do it with his friend and maybe possibly his son Keegan. They'll do it on bikes because they're all huge bike people. So I could see them doing that. And that's another reason why we live out here too, because the cyclists go right in front of our house almost every day. And
Hmm.
it's just really cool to watch. It's like living off the Tour de France where you see these groups go by and all different types of bikes are cycling by. In fact, our son actually just bought a bike in parts and is having it shipped to the house every other day. We're getting pieces. And so he's like,
Yeah.
he's like, Mom and Dad, you're gonna be there for at least 10 years. I'm like, this is my forever home now, guys.
Yeah.
I've made roots. And that's the thing too about Galicia, which brings it back to your car, because Galicia gives you roots, but you've got a car back in the States that
Hmm.
you love. This Honda Element needs some time here on air
Yeah.
because camping, we raise the kids to camp. We've all had different types of I've slept in the back of Jeeps. My parents had a popped up was it pop up Vito Volkswagen bus
Nice.
thing, right? I used to sleep in the top. It was great. But we seriously thought about buying some kind of trailer or even getting an Airstream. We thought about putting an Airstream on our property while we were
Ooh, that's a good idea.
remodeling the house. And they said we could have done that. You can do it at any time. So we're actually thinking about maybe partitioning some shit out in the back here since we have so much land, and stick some Airstream spots for people that want to
Yeah.
do that. Might as well. I mean, what else are we going
Dibs.
to do with a
We're gonna
chestnut
come hang
farm?
out. We'll come hang out and do a whole video about your guys' property with Airstreams. Done.
That would be
That'll be
fun.
super,
That would be
super
fun. I
fun.
mean, we've got two wells on the property. Why not?
How many
But
snakes? How many snakes?
no snakes to
Zero
to
snakes and 2
date.
wells.
I
3
do know
years, no snakes.
there's a store near that sells some snakes, so before you show up, I'll just,
Oh.
pop over and
Perfect. Snake store. Or
yeah.
just
You
put
will get
rubber
there.
snakes all over the
Yeah.
property.
No,
I'll
you'll have
do
ticks
rubber
though.
snakes with a couple mixed in for, live,
I love that.
Yeah,
So you
no,
don't know if it's real or not.
no,
Yeah.
no. But
You're
this Honda
constantly
Element that
questioning it.
no,
All
you
right,
you
Melissa
built
wants
this
to talk about
machine. I want
Toasty.
to talk
Yeah.
the Honda Element because they've built this amazing camper van without having to actually put a ton of money into it. That it's not a custom build. It's literally they just added things to the backs
Yeah.
of the area, and they can sleep there, they can eat there, they can do whatever work there, and you just pull up because the listeners don't also know that Shawn is a uh, avid surfer. So that's a perfect car to take to the beach and just park at the beach parking campsites that they
Yeah.
have there. And then you've got your guy there, and I don't know, Lainey maybe is dancing on the boardwalk at that point, and Shawn's out there surfing.
I love the
I'm just like
world that
making
you're
this up.
painting. It's way better than the reality of what we actually
You know,
do. I just want to keep going. So what else happened?
this is good. And then you ride like a 10-foot, not too
There it is.
huge, but great
Yeah.
wave, and dolphins are swimming next to you. Right?
Nice.
And then
Yeah.
Lainey comes back as won the contest on the pier,
Of
and you
course.
get a year's supply of, I don't know, name your
Arnica
favorite
gel.
food. Arnica gel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
it.
We
That's
just played.
that's it.
That was a really fun collaborative Mad Libs that we just did there. No, okay, so I'll just dive in real quickly. So we were, like we said, we were in California during the pandemic with no car, no apartment, and I was working online a little bit, and Lainey was working for the winery, and so we were figuring out like, well, we live in California, we're here now. We need something to get out of the house. We need a vehicle. But I'd done the van life thing before in New Zealand. I lived in a van for a year in New Zealand forever ago before Lainey. And I was like, let's just do a van. And we looked into it, and everyone else in America wanted to do a van during that time. So the price of vans was like hilarious.
Yeah.
And then the price of, so that was gone immediately. And then the price of materials was also just out of this world. Like buying just like regular lumber was like hilarious. So I put in some time and some research, and I found the Honda Element. We got a 2008. And
well, the reason we liked it is that the Honda Element's a unique car because the two back seats are made to be removable really easily, and you can put them back in like really quickly. And there's all these like attachments to it, so it's not like to go into the floor like modern vans. So there's like the weight of the seats are still in there. These like you remove them, and there's no more weight in the back of your car.
And it's flat in the back. So if you watch the video, we break down why we bought the Element. We made a video about it. It was one of our first truly popular YouTube videos, which was really surprising. Yeah. And we basically were like, I'm not a good builder. Lainey isn't either. So I was like, how can two dum-dums build a thing that you can sleep in?
Yeah, we're creative, but not very handy.
I was like, how can we build something for cheap without any skills? And we really didn't want to drill into the car. We wanted to keep it as a car. Like if it didn't work well, we wanted to be able to put the seats back in and just have a car. So I found these, they're called dunnage racks. They're like restaurant shelving.
Oh,
and I looked at restaurant shelves, and I'm like, well, those are made of aluminum or like a cheap steel. They're very lightweight. They tell you they're each rated for like 600 pounds, 800 pounds. And I'm like, I don't weigh 600 pounds. So we measured them out, and the layout of the Honda Element is just a box. And I was like, did a measurement. I'm like, this can't possibly work. So, and I kind of talked Lainey into it. She's like, restaurant shelves? Okay, sure. And then we put them in, and we left a little aisle in the middle and just zip tied them to the like attachment points of our car.
Oh, wow.
took
with
like
like
a
plastic zip ties.
yeah, we took a
Yes.
mattress, like a mattress topper, so it was like a
Uh-huh.
3-inch foam topper, and then cut those into the
I
shapes
cut it
for
with
the
a bread. I
mattress.
cut it with a bread knife.
Yeah.
And Lainey's like, "Really?"
What?
And I was just like, "Yeah, it's serrated. This is perfect." We didn't do this with no skills. We did this with no skills and no tools. Our main tools were
Bread knife.
zip ties, a tape measure, and a bread knife.
You really
And
wanted to get
so
away.
What level? We used a level.
I eyeballed a lot.
Okay.
And so
Oh, the funniest part though is then finally we're like, okay, I was like, Shawn, so now we have 2 benches, but how are
mhm.
we gonna connect the bed? Like you nothing
So it's
between,
like
like it's
we're using
just
our hands. It's like a sofa. So we like put the back cushion up against the windows area and sit in it kind
Yeah.
of facing each other.
Yeah.
And
and we said, okay, so one of those back cushions goes between the 2 cushions to make a flat bed. So how do we connect them? And I had all these extra paint stir sticks that we were kind of using to like demonstrate. And Shawn's like, oh, we need this like metal thing. And
yeah,
I
I
was like,
wanted
I don't want to
aluminum.
make metal. I don't know how to like connect it together. Like,
Yeah.
and then finally I was like, these paint stir sticks have been working great. Like, let's just glue them together.
So I took a hot
Oh,
glue gun
man.
and I glued a regular
I
magnet.
think we used wood glue actually.
I
But glue
glued a
guns are
magnet to
great.
one side of the flimsy like a craft free
Yeah.
stir stick to stir your paint.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
just took 12 of them and we spaced them a little bit apart and we glued them and then they like because it's
It's
a Dunnage
amazing.
rack, it's metal, the magnet clicks in and so it holds itself in place. And we put the
Mhm.
mattress on the section of cushion on top of it and I like laid on just on that, not even on the and it held my weight and
Mhm.
I'm like, well,
All
this
right.
will work as long as it does. We were expecting it to break and it worked the whole time. We never had
Wow.
to fix it. So yeah, the Honda Element's just a really special car. The front seats, the driver's seat and the passenger seat both fold flat, like
Mhm.
completely flat. So that made the other slice
Oh,
of
So that
wow.
was like
bed.
where our feet go in the bed is like
Yeah, like
on those
I'm six
seats.
foot
Yeah.
one and I slept really comfortably. It's
Amazing.
wider than a twin mattress, but it's smaller than a full. So, but our
Yeah.
bed,
Mhm.
we kept the mattress topper like thing that it came in, and we like used it and it had like straps on it, so it's extra cushion. I slept like a baby in that
I
thing.
mean, to be fair, we're used to like sleeping on bunk beds and
Yeah.
dorms and all sorts of
Yeah.
things from our around the world trip. So like we're
Sure.
not as particular sleeping when we're talking about our car. Some people have commented and they're like, this is not actually comfortable. And we're like, we never said it was a bed, guys. Like
It's pretty darn
it's just
Yeah.
more
comfy.
comfortable than a tent for us.
Oh, it's way more
Yeah.
comfy. Like I slept. I'll speak for myself. Only I slept like a dream in there.
He had
So
the
Right.
wider part of our side, so I'm sleeping a little more on like the railing. I can
Yeah.
sometimes feel
Well,
it.
I mean,
It's
I'm a
still great.
foot taller than
Yeah,
you.
you are.
That's
Uh,
fine.
But it was awesome. We had a little stove. We had a battery run fridge, so we had
mhm,
like cold food. I made mosquito nets for the windows so we could have them open while we
yep.
slept.
The back,
Right.
so the back tailgate, the back seat of a Honda Element, it folds down flat, so we use that as our kitchen.
Tailgate. Mhm.
We got really lucky.
mm,
We bought our car for $6,000 used, and it held
Wow.
up really really well. And we bought like
Yeah.
restaurant shelving and paint sticks,
So
and
That's
we
amazing.
don't
That's you
want to let
MacGyvered it.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't want to let it go. We thought we were going to sell it before moving to Spain, but we
Yeah.
couldn't get the price we wanted for how short of a time. And we went to LA to
Sure.
buy our car, but up in the Central Coast area where my family lives, we couldn't find a buyer for our
no one
car. We
wanted
ran
it.
out of time to like bring it to LA to sell where there's more
Crazy.
people. Yeah, so we still have it, and there's a very small chance we'll like bring our
Whee!
car. His name is Toasty to Galicia.
It looks like
Toasty.
a
oh,
little toaster. It's a
Toaster.
silver Honda
Yep.
Element.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. But
So
you
yeah.
know,
yeah,
this is the thing.
there's
You might want to bring it over because you don't know, right? You don't know, and you still want to like drive around Europe or drive around
mhm,
Spain, and it would be very handy to have here. And you might want to
yeah.
it could be one of those things where it would be the cost. Opportunity cost because you bring
yeah,
the car over, right? And then you're able to avoid flights and trains, and then you can drive and you get into these little
Mhm.
remote areas that
Mm.
I'm going to sadly say this to everybody listening. When you live in Europe, you're not just visiting all these little great places unless you have a vehicle, because as eco-friendly as Europeans are, the trains don't always get you over, and you got to know the bus system, and that can be a pain in the rear. And the taxis ain't cheap, people. So,
mm,
obviously depends on the country in Europe that you're in as well, but relatively speaking, Spain's taxis are average prices, and so they're not inexpensive. So it does cut into your budget if you have to do day trips that the local buses won't get to,
yeah.
and so yeah, you're and the flights are, depending on which ones you take, they can be very expensive, and same with the train.
Mhm.
So we're just now in Spain starting to get those bullet trains. The speed trains are coming in everywhere out to this area and other places of Spain. So I do know that that is changing. It might in 5 years be a little bit different, but right now a car would be sweet over here for you guys.
Yeah, we love I mean, yeah, you've been here a bit longer than us. We do love the high speed train. We take it as often as we can. We love the local
Yeah.
trains. I've actually found it to be pretty easy to get around, but we also don't have to go to work and get to
Yeah.
this and that. So,
We are limited though in some
we
of what
definitely are
things
limited.
we like to do. You know, we call our friends like you who
Mhm.
have a car and say, "Let's go on an adventure today."
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we definitely tap into that resource, and that's part of that
That's good.
conversation. So we looked at, I briefly looked at the cost of it. It's actually not that expensive to get it over. It's, and this is something I'd love to learn more about, but so you can't just bring an American car into Europe. It has to pass certain, EU standards.
Yeah.
And from what
Mhm.
I've read, there are surprising things. For instance, like the glass in the windshield might not be the right
Mhm.
code, so you'll have to get that replaced. The
Mm,
Yeah.
hubcaps might be made from a different kind of plastic. So
mm,
there's certain things that they don't allow European car makers to make or do
mhm,
that
mhm.
American car makers absolutely get away with. And it's not better or worse; it's just different. So
Right.
we've read that sometimes people bring their car over and they need to do $10,000 of repairs
Oh,
on a Honda Civic, even though it runs fine. So
Yeah.
we've gotten mixed information about that. But
right, right.
if we end up staying in Spain, which we hope to do for very very long time,
Mhm.
yeah, getting a shipping container and putting a car in it, and some furniture that we still have back in the States would be amazing. And if Toasty rides again in Europe, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
I'd love to take Toasty to the beach and
Yep.
park it up. And it's restaurant shelving is not hard to find in Europe.
No,
We
yeah.
still have a lot of the pieces. So
It's kind of strewn about my family's home now. They're using
they're
our
using the
former bed is now
shelves.
being used as like shelves in their garage.
Yeah, beauty of it. It wasn't just we didn't have to tear it open. We just took the shelves out, put the seats back in, and then we're like,
Yeah.
"You guys want to put all your stuff on the shelves?" And they were like, "Oh,
Well,
sweet."
it wasn't
Yeah, I
purchased in
love
vain. I
that.
mean, it had a good usage, but
Yeah.
I think that this is a good place, Lauren, where I think I've had all my immediate questions answered, and I don't know if there's anything burning that you have left, or we're gonna do one day another part two
I
coming in
know.
because
That
I
went
still feel like we've
fast.
left. Yeah, it went fast and
No,
it went a long time.
I was gonna mention I have a Toyota RAV4 2003 that I bought
Hmm.
here. And I specifically bought it because I wanted to do exactly what you guys are talking about with what you did. So,
Woo.
and I'm in the same boat. Like I'm good with house tools and stuff like that. But I'm not really like building things over here, like not having a 3D printer and printing out the specs for to fit perfectly.
You have a bread knife?
But I do have a bread knife, and so,
You're
when I
good.
heard that, the inspiration was just fuming out. So, yeah, no, I really
That's
like that,
awesome.
and
That was the whole point of
my
it. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and my, back seats are the same way, they come completely out, which is why I also got it, and so
Oh.
it's easy to go in and out, so when you were saying that too, I was like, "Everything is aligning right now." So,
Mhm.
I might, get some expertise advice from you guys
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what
bring it
kind of
by.
bread
Yeah.
Honestly,
knife.
bring it by the house. We can
Yeah.
take a tape measure to it and a bread
It's
knife.
kind of it's smaller than, what
We
you
call her
guys had
Tostita.
in the back. It's definitely like a mini
Mm.
it's like a European toaster, the
Well,
smaller
that's the
one,
beauty is
so
that you work with what you have, and the odds are that you can find some kind of off the shelf, literally off the shelf solution
Yeah.
that
yeah.
you don't have to worry about.
Some people put like army cots in
Yeah,
there and then they'll just
Oh
like
yeah,
sleep
that'll
on
be
the
good.
cot. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
our whole ethos is you just do the minimum until it doesn't work anymore. Because you
Right.
Right.
don't realize the minimum could work great for you. If you overdo something, over design something, put too much money into it, then you've sunk in all this cost in it. And if you don't like it, you're like, great, well, I spent all this money.
yeah.
Mhm.
Do the
Yeah.
least and then you
Yeah.
upgrade as you need.
And no shade to everyone trying to build like this perfect off-grid super camper. That's fantastic. If you have the money and that's what you want to do, go nuts. But we were like, how can we do this for $9 with some
Yeah.
chewing gum?
But we never
Yeah,
lived we
exactly.
didn't live in the car
Popsicle
though. That is
sticks.
a difference though, because there's no bathroom,
Yeah.
so we didn't live in the car. It was for like extended camping trips, and
Right.
we
Mhm.
did take it on a 5-week road trip. And in that time, we stayed in the car. I think for
like 6
4
out
of
of 7
those
nights,
weeks, yeah,
like we
4 of
would
those
stay with a
weeks,
friend, or like,
your
like we like you'd be like,
family
hey, it's starting to get funky. Let's,
stay in a hotel
Yeah.
one night.
Yeah.
Yeah, wash
Yeah.
our clothes.
Well, they have those combustible toilets too, which are really
Sure.
cool. And in
Yeah.
particular in Europe, they're very affordable to the point where we actually had thought about just doing that in the house, and if we get any type of extra cottage built out
right.
on one of these outbuildings, we might just do that and not worry about hooking to the
I've
sewer. Although,
experienced
yeah,
that
whatever.
though.
Yes, you have.
My friends back in Oregon, they ended up buying like her grandpa's RV that was
Hmm.
not really being used, and they put some renovations into it, and they wanted a eco-friendly toilet, so they got the compostable one, and like the one that has like the bucket you have to, I mean, not like a bucket, but like a area
Like
for when you
sawdust
go
and
pee that you have to pour out, and then yeah, it was
You
a whole
separate the
thing.
solids and liquids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, okay, how does this work? And she was showing me it, and I mean, it was honestly very easy to use, so like you could put it anywhere. But that her husband was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of fucking gross though, but it
yeah,
works. So
that's
See,
the
but
thing.
I want the one that incinerates, so you don't have to
yeah, there's
deal with
ones
it. You
that
just do
light
the
on
liquid, but
fire,
yeah, and then it just comes out to a little bit of
not the
ash
whole
A little
that
toilet.
you just
briquette.
it's like ash poop, and you throw it in your garden, and it fertilizes. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's 2 for 1. You poop, you incinerate, you fertilize your garden. So
Number
that's
2 for 1. Yeah.
Ash
Yeah.
number
That
2.
I don't know that we would use an incinerator in a car, but that sounds
Yeah.
rad. I would say, yeah, like that's the thing too, is again, like we under engineered everything. And it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, sure, it'd be nice to have a toilet, but like there's bathrooms everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know what I
exactly.
mean? Like,
Especially
and
at the
that
beach.
we know a lot of van life. Well, we know a few van lifers, and we've seen others, and this is one of the like major ones. People spend like 6 grand putting a shower and a toilet in their little tiny van, and they dedicate all this square footage. And then 8 months later, they're like, "I've used it once," and
Right,
It's
right.
Right.
just hard to clean, or it uses
Yeah,
so much water, or
yeah,
and it's like the
yeah,
worst. The worst case that happens is you go outside and you squat on some nettles and you get a weird itch.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And you get a weird itch. I think that's a perfect spot right there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Great having Shawn and Lainey, and we get a weird itch. Love it.
No,
Okay, so this is what I want to ask. This is what Lauren. I think there's okay because we didn't even get to the non-lucrative
I
visa that we
know.
all share.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm going to ask listeners. There's going to be a part 2 if Shawn and Lainey will come back on the podcast, and we can explore all of that, because I also know that Shawn and Lainey are doing a lot now on their YouTube channel to help people understand how to get to Spain, and we could have really used them when we started this
Yeah.
process. But I
Yeah.
think it's going beyond that too now, because I just learned a little bit of information from my mother's doctor here, who's also here on non-lucrative, my mom, that apparently anybody can get the Social Security healthcare system here on any type of visa, which is
Hmm.
completely contrary to the information my lawyers gave me when I came
Yeah.
over on the non-lucrative. So I'm going to be exploring that. So maybe that'll be something I can add into your aspect of doing this, because there's a lot of us here who have bits and pieces of other things, and later
Mhm.
in the season we'll be talking to Felix from LA, who all of us
Yeah.
utilized to have his help in getting us our renewals. So it will be really nice to do another separate segment on that, if you would be if you'd honor us and be on the show again.
sounds good.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Awesome. And by then, maybe you'll have some more Camino stories, or
Yeah.
hopefully no more snake stories or nettles in your ass. Just nettles in your tea. Going back to the
Not
tea and the beans.
yeah, not
On the tea with a big old bag of beans.
Yeah. Woo! Well, this has been another episode of Translate This with Lauren and Melissa. Lauren, take it away for
Well, I
closing.
mean, now you're putting me on the spot here. You're always the one that ends it now. So
I know.
now
It's
it's
because I
going to be
talk
an
too much.
awkward ending. So we'll leave
That's
it
great.
at that, and no more snakes, no more, snowing, any of those things. But in all reality, I do want to leave it on a note that the Camino de Santiago is an amazing, amazing experience, I would say. So I haven't done it, but every single person I've talked to that has done it never regrets it. They want to continue to do them. They find this community. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely go check out Shawn and Lainey's YouTube page. They have very good videos on it. And just thank you guys both for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us. We've had a lovely chat.
Thanks, guys.
And Shawn and Lainey, if you ever do the Portuguese Camino, you'll walk right underneath Lauren's window.
Oh, really?
Camino.
We'll meet you for coffee and
We'll
look
just
at your...
bang our sticks on your window.
Yeah.
She can be your albergue for the night.
We'll bring the bed bugs right to your door.
Be like, hey, look, there's Shawn, okay? And bam. No.
If you throw snakes on me, I'm gonna lose it.
Hey, remember this? No, I'm going to have PETA coming after me, so no snakes were harmed in this podcast. I'm not worried, you know. I will not be going.
That could be your thing. That could be your thing. Yeah. Be like, hey, have you guys walked the Camino Portuguese? You know, the lady that throws rubber snakes and everything?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, no.
That's a Camino legend.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, listeners. And this has been much more entertaining, I think, for us than you. But we definitely are excited to see how this comes out. And stay tuned for next week. We have the season of the expats. And actually, now Lauren has corrected me, and I'm going to call it the season of the immigrants, because now I'm realizing, yes, we really are immigrants. We are not expats. We are staying and planting roots and getting visas and legally declaring ourselves parts of the countries that we are living in now. So season of immigrants, new immigrants coming in from all over the world into Spain and locally nearby. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.